Hi, I'm Rebecca Ashton, and this week we're going to talk about the core, the infamous core. How many people have been told when they ride that you've got to engage your core, or their instructor yells out, "Engage your core"? But what does that actually mean? So you can't consciously engage your core. So now you're thinking, "Oh no, what do I do now?" Don't worry, there are solutions. And in Pilates, I know a lot of people talk about the powerhouse, and you've got this cylinder of muscles, the diaphragm and the pelvic floor, transverse muscle, the internal obliques, the psoas muscle, all really important muscles. So let's think of the core as pressure management in the body. So the radial compressional field in the body, which kind of holds everything in line and stabilized, but not rigid. So we talk about in and out, into out pressure in the body, and then the out to in. And these have to be balanced. But what you find, if you just try to engage everything in, you're missing the into out pressure. And if you don't have that first, you're going to start, the out to in pressure is going to start doing too much, and it's going to start compressing you in some sort of probably spiral rigidity strategy. So we want to avoid that. We also want the core to be dynamic. It's got to be ever changing and spontaneous and changing to the environment it's in and the conditions it's in. So we need the body to be able to predict and read its environment well. So the way we do that is to put it in situations when we can give it better options, so it can choose the best way, because like we said before, the body will always choose the best options. So we need to give it better choices and better options so it can build its own good central column. Now, it's also important to remember the body will always prioritize keeping you alive. So that is keeping your eyes on the horizon. It's about breathing, whatever that takes, and for wherever that needs to come from, whether it's from the diaphragm or from those auxiliary muscles, and to get you moving. So getting your hips, your legs walking or running, so the hip area. So it just happens to be that the pressure system in the body, there's some nice little locks in the body where you can address that happen to be in those areas. So we look at the diaphragm, we look at the head and neck area and the AO joint, which likes a bit of compression, and we look at the pelvic floor and the pelvis work. So it's about balancing the into-out and the out-to-in. So the into-out pressure, we look at deep postural muscles and fascial lines, and the out-to-in, we're looking at more superficial muscles and slings and chains in the body, myofascial slings and chains. And all these really important deep muscles are really connected. So the diaphragm separates the pleural cavity from the abdominal cavity. So we look here at the management of negative pressure and positive pressure at the top, and manage that. And we've also got the transverse muscle, which is the closing in muscle, and we've got the pelvic floor, which is connected to the diaphragm, and the transverse muscle that's also connected through to that thoracolumbar junction. You can see how the whole thing's connected and works together. So you focusing on one muscle, probably not the best idea. Now, eventually we do layer on more muscles, so it is important, but you have to be fit to train first. So we need more muscles when we need to, ask the horse to go more forward, or to half halt, or to give an aid, tell the horse to turn, or do shoulder in or something like that. So it does require more going on in the body, but you want to have a good central column first, and you need to be fit enough to train those other muscles, to layer them on top. And if you don't have that good central column, things are going to go awry. You're going to have some shearing through the body, or you're going to have some compression and rotation where you don't want it. So it's really important to work eccentrically to get everything long, so we're not imploding. And just as an aside, it's also really important to understand how your organs and viscera work into the core. If your intestines are inflamed, as an example, you're not going to be able to create trunk stiffness well. Your body's not going to allow that. So things like nutrition, good health with your other organs is also very important, just for your core. Who knew? Okay, so the first exercise I'm going to give you on the OOV was actually taught to me by the owner of OOV Education and my mentor, one of my mentors, Nick Dahl, who's very smart guy. And this exercise is gold. It's not where I would normally start someone with the OOV. There's a lot more diagnostics we would do beforehand, but it's just such a brilliant exercise. I wanted to share it with you, and I hope Nick doesn't mind. Anyway, let's get to. So you're going to have the OOV this way up and the tail down this end. So we're going to lie on top of it, and the tail goes between your legs, and you want the OOV to be as high this way as you can manage, but you also want your ribs to clear it. So you want to flare your ribs over the OOV, so you might need to move it down towards your feet. So find that position, that's important. And then you're going to, I'll just move up so I stay in frame. So then you're going to get the tail and pop it between, and squeeze it between your thighs and tuck your toes under. Then you're going to soften all the front of your body down, so your chest is heading towards the ground, but you're not collapsing on the ground. Because as soon as you collapse on the ground, you'll feel your muscles deaden. This is why we love the OOV, because it's always alive. It keeps your body alive and on. So you're going to be down here, softening your chest, and we're just going to hold that. We're just going to hold it there, nice and low. And I normally would just wait to see how the body reacted, holding that nice pose. But I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for, or what we're trying to achieve here. So hopefully you'll notice after a while that the posterior curve of the diaphragm start kicking in and working and breathing. Then you would find hopefully that the superficial front line of the body starts to disappear. So we're trying to get rid of the superficial front line a little bit and activate more the deep frontal line and the superficial back line of the body. And also you'd start getting some negative pressure, some in the abdominal cavity, and positive pressure in that pleural cavity. So that's what we're looking for, and why this is such a great little hold. So you hold it for, I don't know, let's see if you can do a minute. Some people find it a little uncomfortable on their abdomen. That can often be because those superficial muscles are just a bit too tight, and this should help soften it. So just take it in steps, don't hurt yourself, and you don't want your body to go in a lot of pain, because then it will start holding against it. So just be gentle and guide the body and let it work it out. Give it time. Okay, so this next exercise we're using the OOV and a band. So we're going to be standing on the OOV for this. We're going to be standing, it's going to be perpendicular to us. So that'll put us in the sagittal plane. So I'm going to sideways to you, just so you can see what's going on with the body better. All right, so we're going to stand one foot and then the other. So test me. And now I've got to look at the camera to speak and talk to you and keep my balance. So that'll be a good test. So keep this aside for a second. We're coming into that one. And all you're going to do to start is just rock forward and back with straight knees. And we're just getting that body organized front to back, and let it sort itself out. And don't fall. Test yourself to fall, but don't fall. As I say, forward and back. And once that's under control, we're going to grab our band. We're going to put it over our head. Yeah, it's challenging, right? Okay, so we're going to just put a bit of pressure on that, enough pressure that you feel like you want to push up into it. So it should actually feel really nice, because we're dealing with that AO joint there, and that likes a bit of compression. So it'll make you push up into it, and then we continue rocking forward and back. As you can see now, I'm a lot more stable, okay? There's a lot of information coming to my body about where it is in time and space. So that's really nice to do with the body, and to let it organize itself at length with a lot of input from its environment. So I hope you find them really helpful.